Welcome back to Telling More Stories Told as Podcast. You know that show that takes you deeper into the story?
That's the headlines and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like today, we're diving deep into Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh, yeah. A name everyone knows, but
Most people just know him as Harry Potter, right?
but
There's so much more to him.
oh yeah, way more to his story than just, wands and spells.
Exactly. We're going to look at his whole life from the beginning, growing up in London all the way to being on stage and screen and even like his personal life and the causes he supports.
Yeah, and you'll see it's a pretty surprising journey.
So let's start at the beginning, 1989, London.
Little baby Daniel Radcliffe is born, and his family is already connected to entertainment.
Like show business.
Yeah. His mom was a casting agent, and his dad was a literary agent.
So he was around stories like from day one.
Pretty much. And it must have rubbed off on him because he gets his first acting role when he's only 10.
10 years old?
Yeah.
Wow. What was the role?
Young David Copperfield for the BBC.
Wow. Impressive.
Right. And that's what's interesting. Like a lot of child stars, they have trouble, becoming adult actors.
They can't break out of that image.
Exactly. But Daniel Radcliffe, he seems to have done it really well.
And I think it's because he chose his roles carefully. Like he wanted to challenge himself and show he could do different things.
Oh, absolutely. Like, remember when he did that play Equus? That was a controversial one.
The boy who lived is suddenly on stage, and
It's about sexuality and religion. Pretty heavy stuff.
that's pretty grave for anyone, let alone someone so famous for a kid's character.
It shows he was serious about being a real actor, not just a celebrity.
And it worked, right. People loved him in Equus.
Oh, yeah. Critics loved him. It showed he could handle difficult roles.
It's like he wanted to prove he was more than just Harry Potter.
Totally. And he kept making choices like that to show he was a serious actor.
Like that movie Swiss Army Man,
Oh, yeah. That one was out there.
about as far from Hogwarts as you can get.
Exactly.
But that's what makes him interesting. He takes risk, does things people don't expect.
He makes his own path, and you see that on Broadway, too.
Oh, right. He could have just stayed in Hollywood movies.
He could have, but he chose to do theater, too, and not just easy roles either, challenging stuff, musicals and plays.
Well, and he even won a Tony Award for Merrily We Roll Along.
That's huge. Like the top honor in theater. It shows how dedicated he is and talented.
It's a different world.
Yeah.
Movies, totally different skills and energy. He's got it all.
He really does. And what's amazing is he does both movies and theater at the same time.
Now, before we move on, I got to tell you something I found out about him that's kind of funny. He's a huge hip-hop fan.
Oh, yeah. He can even rap.
Did you see that video of him rapping alphabet aerobics? It's amazing.
Went viral for a reason.
He's just so unexpected.
Yeah.
And kind of sweet.
Yeah.
It shows he doesn't take himself too seriously.
Right. He's got all these accomplishments, but he's still a regular guy with hobbies and stuff.
And speaking of things he's passionate about, we got to mention his work for social justice.
Oh, absolutely. He's a big advocate for LGBTQ plus rights.
He supports the Trevor Project, which helps prevent suicide among LGBTQ youth.
He doesn't just talk about it. He actually does stuff, raises awareness, fights discrimination, supports people who need it.
Yeah, it's clear that this is something he really cares about.
And it's not just about causes. He speaks up for what he believes in, even when it's tough. Like when J.K. Rowling made those controversial comments.
About transgender people.
Yeah, he didn't shy away from it. He said clearly that he supports trans people and he doesn't agree with intolerance.
It's moments like that that show he's not just a celebrity. He's someone who thinks for himself and stands up for what he believes in.
He's got principles.
Exactly. Now, before we go any further, if you're enjoying this deep dive, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes of Tell Me More.
We've got so many more stories to share.
And we wouldn't want you to miss out.
Now let's get back to Daniel Radcliffe. When he's not in the spotlight, who is he? What does he like to do?
Yeah, what makes him tick?
Well, he seems to be a pretty down-to-earth guy, even though he's famous and all. He likes his privacy, spends time with family and friends, and enjoys simple things.
Like what?
He reads a lot, loves music, and you won't believe this, he's a big ping pong fan.
Bing bong. That's kind of cool.
Right. And he's got a quirky side, too. Remember at that time he was on the Graham Norton show, and he knew all this random football trivia?
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I think it's those little things that make him relatable. He's not just a superstar. He's got interests and passions just like everyone else.
And it's important to remember he's had his struggles, too.
He's talked about his problems with alcohol.
And how he got sober.
It makes him seem even more human. Even someone who seems to have it all can face challenges.
Yeah, and it's a really powerful message, especially for young people who might be going through something similar.
It shows that recovery is possible, and you can come out stronger on the other side.
Definitely. And it's great that he uses his fame to promote mental health awareness and encourage people to get help.
So far, we've seen that he's a talented actor, an advocate for important causes, and a pretty down-to-earth guy.
He's definitely multifaceted.
But there's still more to uncover.
In the next part, we'll look at how he's grown as an actor, how he chooses his roles, and what the future holds for him.
So stay tuned. We're going even deeper into the world of Daniel Radcliffe.
Welcome back to Tell Me More Stories Told Us podcast. You know, it's really something when you dig deeper into someone's story.
It is, isn't it? Like with Daniel Radcliffe, we've learned so much already about him, from his childhood to his acting career. And
All his other interests, social justice, hip-hop, and being so open about his struggles, it's really interesting.
yeah, one thing that's clear is he's not afraid to be different. He does things his own way.
Yeah, he could have easily just stuck with those Harry Potter type roles, you know? Safe choices.
But he didn't. He wanted to push himself. Like that play Equus,
Oh, yeah, that was a big statement.
controversial and physically demanding. And to think he went from playing this beloved children's character to,
To something so dark and intense, it showed he was serious about acting.
and then there's Swiss Army Man.
Haha, oh man, that movie.
Talk about a weird role.
It was hilarious, but also made you think. And again, so different from what people expected of him.
It's like he's saying, I'm not afraid to be myself, even if it's weird.
And that goes for his theater work, too. He could have just stayed in Hollywood, but he loves the stage.
And he's good at it. Remember, he won that Tony Award for Merrily We Roll Along.
That's a big deal. To go from Harry Potter to winning a Tony Award, it shows how much he's grown as an actor.
It's not just talent, it's dedication and passion and connecting with the audience.
He's got it all. And what's amazing is he does both, movies and theater. He's not limited to one thing.
I think it's safe to say he's blown past everyone's expectations. He's not just a former child star, he's a real actor with a serious career.
And he seems to be just getting started. He's got all these new projects coming up. I wonder what he'll do next.
Me too. He keeps surprising us. It wouldn't shock me if he started directing or writing someday.
That's a good point. He's clearly passionate about storytelling in all its forms.
And with all his experience and his willingness to try new things, I think he could be great behind the camera too.
It's amazing to look back at his journey from that first role in David Copperfield to now a Tony Award winner.
And it hasn't always been easy. He's had challenges in his personal life and his career.
But he's come out stronger, more resilient.
Yeah, he's really created his own path. His story shows us that success doesn't happen overnight. There are ups and downs, moments of doubt, but it's how you handle those challenges that matters.
Absolutely. Daniel Radcliffe is a great example of someone who embraces the whole journey, the good and the bad, and uses it to fuel his creativity.
It's inspiring. It makes you want to go after your own dreams, take risks, keep learning.
Who knows, maybe someday we'll be doing a deep dive on your story.
I wouldn't mind that. But for now, let's get back to Daniel Radcliffe. We've talked about his work, his activism, his personal life.
Well, what about his fans?
Oh, that's a good point. The relationship between a celebrity and their fans is interesting,
Yeah.
especially for someone like him who became famous so young.
Yeah, he's grown up in the public eye and his fans have been there for it all.
And from what I've seen, he really appreciates them. He's known for being kind and generous at fan events.
Yeah, you hear all these stories about how down-to-earth he is, taking time to talk to people, sign autographs.
It's nice to see, he doesn't act like he's better than anyone. He remembers where he came from.
It shows he hasn't let fame go to his head. He's still a regular person deep down.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to move on to the final part of our deep dive, where we'll wrap things up and talk about Daniel Radcliffe's legacy.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on Tell Me More Stories Told Us podcast.
Welcome back to Tell Me More Stories Told Us podcast. We've been digging deep into the world of Daniel Radcliffe.
It's been quite a journey.
We've seen him grow from child star to this respected actor. We've talked about his dedication to acting, his willingness to try new things, and how he uses his fame to support important causes.
And we learned he's a pretty cool guy, too.
Down to earth, loves hip-hop, plays ping pong.
You.
It's amazing how much we've learned about him in just one episode.
It shows you there's always more to the story than what you see on the surface.
So true. Now here's a question for you and for our listeners. If you had to describe Daniel Radcliffe to someone who only knows him as Harry Potter, what would you say?
That's a tough one. But I think I'd tell them to forget everything they think they know about him.
Ooh, I like that.
He's so much more than just Harry Potter.
He's a talented actor, passionate advocate, a real person with interests and struggles just like everyone else.
Exactly. Don't let that one role define him.
It's all about looking deeper, right? That's what Tell Me More is all about. We go beyond the headlines and explore the stories that make up our world and the people in it.
We want to spark your curiosity and make you want to learn more.
So if you're ready for more deep dives, more unexpected discoveries, and more fascinating conversations,
Hit that subscribe button and join us on our next adventure.
until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep telling your own story.
Because there's always more to tell.